lead at the moment by just 2 points.
It'll be Harding versus Essler for the centre bounce. It favours Essler just that little bit. He takes clean possession. The hand pass was not a good one as Clappe puts it towards the 50-metre line. Chance for the Richmond defence here. Off the ground though goes Kemp. He takes clean possession, has a look at the goal, swings it back. Sumic knocked away from him by Turner, which was good defensive play. Out comes Free. He can't take it. To Hetty it comes. The kick was not particularly good, and discretion being the better part of valour, Scott forces it across for a behind. So 1 point the difference in the opening couple of seconds of the second quarter.
We did mention before the play started, John, that a little bit of rain had fallen beforehand. We thought the ground was pretty slippery, but the players are handling the conditions quite well.
Dries out pretty quick, Robbo. Sand base, the water drops down very, very rapidly, so there shouldn't be a major problem providing it doesn't rain too heavily.
Well, that kick by White should have really been marked by Essler. He looks very, very inexperienced, and he is, Ty Essler. But Richmond have got to place their faith in him. He's a big, tall boy, and
he did
certainly
take 9 marks last week against Adelaide, but he really should have gobbled that one up, Essler.
And he must get better with games, surely. Now, Scott there for Richmond, Bannock, Wilson over the top. Wilson, of course, having played with Richmond, recruited from Perth, 5 or 6 years ago, had 4 or 5 seasons with the Tigers, and now back here in Perth playing with West Coast. The bounce. Up high was Wilson. He punches it into the right forward pocket. Back goes Lees. Difficult, but his hand pass over the top looked there for Herman. Couldn't quite control the direction, and we'll have a boundary throw in the right forward pocket. It's about 40 metres around from the West Coast goal. They trail at the moment by just 1 point. 3-4 the Tigers, 3-3 the Eagles, and all goal scorers are just singles at this stage in the match.
The other good thing for the Tigers in defence is good to see Anthony Bannock back there playing only his second game for 1992. He was #1 draft pick in 1989 in the national draft. He's coming back from an illness described as post-viral fatigue syndrome.
Strike.
Sounds nasty.
Glad it was him and not me. As Free once again sees the ball towards the boundary line for Richmond. It's deep in the Eagles' right full forward pocket. They trail by just 1 point. Jakovic versus Scott. A clear tap. Bannock is on the bottom there. A viral infection of that nature, very hard to diagnose and very debilitating too, Bernie. I can understand why the kid's been out of footy for some time.
As a West Coast Eagle player looks to be in trouble, John, coming off. It could be Peter Wilson. Holding maybe a right shoulder problem.
That snapshot that time from Turley has hit the post, one behind, and it does not look good for Wilson. It is Peter Wilson, and if my memory serves me correctly, he was out for a number of weeks earlier in the season with a similar injury. So not good news from a West Coast Eagles point of view as McIntosh gets ready to come on as his replacement.
Well, he may have broken his wrist the way he's holding onto that, and Ashley McIntosh onto the ground.
It's either a wrist or a shoulder, Robbo. Could be supporting the shoulder even.
The kick in towards full forward. Off the ground goes Sumic, and it's bundled over for a boundary throw in.
He's in a lot of trouble. I don't think we'll see Peter Wilson back on the ground today.
He was showing quite a lot of aggression out there in the first quarter. So maybe he had a few square-offs from his days at Richmond. And from that ruck contest, we'll have another boundary throw in. Peter Wilson makes his way up the race. Well, that's a bad sign, isn't it, when the player goes straight up the race to be attended by the medical staff. Boundary throw in. Jakovic. Chance for McIntosh. Can't get clear. Lambert can. Handball is not too bad to Knights. Good running there by Lees, and he's clear. He kicks it up towards the centre wing position, and an excellent mark is taken for Richmond by Lennon, just wide of the centre.
And took a bump as well, but made light of it as Lennon's kick goes up inside the 50-metre line. Guy McKenna comes through, so too does Waterman. Now Matera, now McKenna doing what he does best, mopping up well. Not a particularly good kick, but McKenna is still there to Pike. Pike with the left foot, a high kick. Too far for Jakovic, and the mark has been taken by Scott.
Has Jakovic been changed to centre-half forward, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like Brennan's on playing at centre-half back on Jackson.
Looks like he has been, as Scotty Waters mops up, slips, is caught. Is that holding the ball? It is indeed.
Of course it is.
Yep. And the kick going to go the way of Jeff Hogg.
Bit stiff that he slipped, but he's caught with the football. So Hogg is just forward of centre wing, has the chance to put Richmond to within scoring range. His kick is high, will land right on the 50-metre line. It's going to be marked by Waitman. Well done, the flea. Hand pass, sweeping. Campbell tries to go underneath, but Matera was a wake-up. The tackle by Bremen was just a little bit too long on Matera and held when he didn't have the football. Peter Matera will take the free kick in the left back pocket for the West Coast.
And Campbell was on his way to goal then when that happened too.
They're a little bit stiff. Waitman saw the positioning of the player. The ball now at the back. Here's a chance for Hart, who loves to run and kicks the ball beautifully on the run normally. Oh, it's perfect. The lead by Sumic and the pass, and that's what football's all about. Turley running into the pocket. And Sumic, well, we've seen him kick some long distances.
Well, they read it so much better off the pack there. 2 West Coast Eagles players at the back and all the Richmond players at the front of the pack. They really left the door open for the Eagles.
This will bend left to right.
Well, Peter Sumic, who loves to kick long distances, it's a beautiful kick. It's a goal.
A 6-point break to the Eagles. There's no clear tap in the middle. Hart, who had just previously delivered the ball into the forward line, kicked that one towards half forward, but there has been interference.
Bannock held by his opponent.
And Bannock will... No, it looks like Scott's going... No, it couldn't be Scott's kick. It's got to be Bannock's kick. And Anthony Bannock, just forward of centre half back, is going to bring it out towards right centre wing. Jackson is the target. It's knocked away from him by Clappe. Across comes Knights. He got the hand pass away to Lambert. Lambert up towards Dale Waitman. Great courage shown by Mitchell White to go back then. Players slipping over. Down went Hogg, and the umpire deemed that he wasn't holding the ball. He couldn't get rid of it, and it will be thrown down on Richmond's right half forward flank.
Fans not too happy, John. It was a game decision by the umpire there right in front of the crowd. Which is
Jackson,
pro West Coast Eagles, of course.
What would you expect? I've been to Melbourne for a couple of weeks. I know what it's like. Matera's kick towards left centre wing. Again, Knights goes by hand too high. And Hogg taken too high.
Yes, too high on Hogg. Hardy, it was silly free kick there by Harding, because Hogg was going to be forced over the boundary line anyway.
So Hogg has got the ball just forward of right centre wing. And Richmond certainly not laying down and letting the Eagles walk all over them. Player there in Herman couldn't do much with the ball. As out comes Brennan with a nice hand pass to the run of Hart. Hart in turn to Mainwaring, who's almost in the centre of the ground. Long kick into the forward line, a little bit too far for Jakovic. Out came Turner for Richmond. This is Mainwaring. He's got a paddock. Couple of players closing on him now, but he'll have plenty of time. Kicks it long into the forward line. And the kick not quite what he would have desired, and it's out of bounds in the Eagles' rightful forward pocket. They lead by a goal.
Yeah, Richmond just a little bit stiff there. Their player coming out of defence couldn't quite pick it up, but he was forced to kick quickly.
Yes, yeah, well, I think it might have been Turner, was it?
And,
yeah, 41, Scotty Turner. Yep.
And then it rebounds back to Mainwaring, and all of a sudden it's back in the Eagles' forward zone. The kick there by Bannock goes wide, and unfortunately for Anthony Bannock, it's gone a little bit too far. It's out on the full, and the free kick will be taken out there for the West Coast by John Worsfold. No, it won't. It's going to be taken by Pike. Pike playing his 50th game. Good kick too, right to the front of the square. That's an excellent position. And it's forced over. Oh, the player holding his head in his hands was Sumic, I think, may have kicked that. And just missed, only missed by a metre. So Sumic has kicked 2 goals too in that scoreline for West Coast of 4-5. Richmond are 3-4, so the difference is 7 points in favour of the Eagles.
The target was Campbell from the kick-in, and he has the ball on the defensive 50-metre line. Not a lot on offer. Jackson, I guess, would be the target. That's the way it went in front. Good mark, Lambert, beauty.
That was a terrific mark from the little man, getting in front, using his body well.
Lambert with the left foot. Kick not quite reaching the intended target of Bruce Lennon, and it'll be thrown in with Richmond into attack. Mick Malthouse don't think would be too happy with the way things are going, Bernie, at the moment.
He's made a change too with Jakovic off. Well, that's surprising. He did start off at centre half back, was moved to centre half forward, and now Hepburn's back on.
And that'll be Lambert getting up from the bottom of that pack, number 4 for Richmond, playing his 100th game today, and a great servant of his club. So Richmond marginally into attack, trailing by 7 points. We've played 10 minutes in the second quarter. Naish is at the bottom of that. That's Lambert again. And Mainwaring came in very late into that pack. The umpire deciding that he will have a bounce.
Well, they're doing pretty well, the Tigers. After last week, they really, talking to Michael Roach during the week, he said it was probably the worst performance you could remember a Richmond side putting in.
Well, the bounce just forward of the centre wing area in favour of Richmond, and it really is a struggle to clear the ball. It's kicked off the ground by Jackson, and it's been marked by Waterman right on the 50-metre line. He hand passes away to McKenna. McKenna, who uses the football beautifully, he kicks towards centre wing looking for Turley, but it's punched away from that player by Herman, and Herman doing a good job on Craig Turley, tagging that player.
I think Todd Bremen really needs to tighten up a little bit on Guy McKenna. A couple of occasions he's just let him run out of that back line without much opposition at all.
White slipping, kick off the ground by Knights, marked by Mainwaring. Mainwaring at centre half back, transfers play to the far side of the ground. There's some open spaces out there for Harding if he can just control the football. Maxfield a little late. Harding's kicked to half forward, gathered by McIntosh. Handball away to Waters, well tackled. His handball away to Pike, who left it behind. Richmond outnumbered down there. Pike tries to hand pass to the advantage of Kemp, but Essler tries to get it now to Knights. Knights shrugs the tackle, but he's bundled over the boundary line. Matthew Knights looking for the free kick. Not forthcoming. Boundary throw-in will take place.
And it'll be just forward of the Eagles' right centre wing. Worsfold came over the top. This is Knights. Long hand pass to Maxfield, who favours that left foot of his. Up towards half forward. Good mark to Hart. Gee, that was strong. Lambert thought the ball was going to carry him, but it didn't. So Hart on the defensive 50-metre line for the Eagles. Goes towards right centre wing. Turley is the target. It's a little far for him. Herman knocked it to ground. Mainwaring goes off the ground. Can't pick it up as through comes Scott. Scott towards the boundary line. It was intended for Maxfield, but it was over his head. Well, this is a tight game at Subiaco Oval at the 13-minute mark. There's just 7 points in it. The Eagles are kicking with the breeze. There has been interference in the ruck. And the kick will go to the big fella. Mark Hepburn. Hepburn in towards half forward. Heady, McIntosh. That's a couple McIntoshes put down, which is unusual for him. This is Paul Harding. Left foot kick. Long. Oh, I think Turner may have just got a hand of that. He has. 1 point the result. So 4-6-30 West Coast, 3-4-22 Richmond.
So Richmond really need to get a goal, Bernie, don't they? They've had a few chances across half forward here, but they can't get it up to that full forward line.
They're doing pretty well, though, Robbo, to hold the West Coast Eagles in this second term. The West Coast kicking with the breeze. And the Tigers working pretty hard to tie them up.
Well, it's Matthew Knights out there on centre wing. His kick up towards half forward has been marked by Waters, and Waters showed a lot of strength there, going back with the flight of the ball. Jackson dumped by Brennan. Waters to play on now, and he kicks it back towards right half forward for West Coast. Mainwaring was in a terrific position there, but didn't quite carry the football. Underneath that crunch is Scott, and he didn't like the treatment of Mainwaring. He may get the free kick, Alistair Scott.
He has, Robbo. He's got the free kick awarded to him. Against Chris Mainwaring.
Scott, recruited from Inverloch Conwack, and if you're not sure where that is, ladies and gentlemen, it's just down past Wonthaggi in South Gippsland. The kick goes out wide to the wing, and it's over the back for a boundary throw-in.
A little bit of chiropractic work going on there, Bernie.
Yes, it's they come in very handy, those manipulators in a football club.
Essler gets the tap down. Mitchell White is in there. That's him, 31. Finally manages to get boot the ball. It's very close to the boundary line. Scott will be first there, but the boundary line beats all. It's on the Eagles' right half forward flank, and Richmond are having a fair dinkum go here this afternoon. 22 plays 30. There's 8 points in it. They're closing the Eagles' runners down quite effectively. This is Mainwaring. Mainwaring's kick in towards half forward. Here they go. Heady, left foot kick from Brett Heady. Close to the goal. Oh, just bounces across the face. Defence required here from Richmond. The Eagles need to keep it in, but well done as Richmond work the ball up towards the right centre wing. This is Campbell. Campbell with the left foot. In towards half forward. 29 there is Menengola. His hand pass went astray, and great work from Chris Waterman. Waterman plenty of time to sight the ball into the forward line. Again, it's a battle of defences, as over the top is Herman. Kick towards the boundary line by Free, and that's where it crosses.
It's just the luck of the draw, isn't it? Menengola, he fumbled 2 or 3 times, and then his hand pass was ineffective. Waterman scoops it up, and now it's down within goal-scoring distance for the West Coast. On the other hand, if Menengola takes possession and kicks it back, it's a chance for the Tigers. So you just can't really afford to miss the opportunities. Herman tries to get the ball out. It's punched further forward by Campbell, is it? Now Lambert has the chance. Advantages with the Tigers. He can bounce it again. And again, Craig Lambert. 3. Up towards centre-half forward. His kick is a bit of an up and under. Wakeman, but he's beaten for it by Watters. And if Dale Wakeman's fit, I give up.
Well, there was no movement on the Richmond forward line either. There was a big opportunity there. Lambert, no pressure. And yet he had no one to kick to. They were stationary on the forward line.
And now the football finishes with Main Waring. West Coast do it very easily. Clappe, his hand pass is ordinary. In goes Lennon, which was hard. Clappe should be penalised, surely.
Well, this is most uncharacteristic of the West Coast Eagles. Some pretty untidy football coming from them.
And Scott will kick it out for the Tigers.
Scott looking for and finding Maxfield, who marks before it crosses the line. Maxfield backwards of left centre wing towards half forward. Good strength of the body by Jeff Hogg, got his opponent out of the road. Hogg in towards 50 metres. Out comes Bluey McKenna. Good stuff, McKenna coming back from injury, and a lovely delivery of the ball to Hart. Also coming back from injury. Hart to Turley. Turley sidesteps. Let's see if the Eagles can get something going here. He closes to 50 metres. Long kick. No good at all from an Eagle point of view, and Bannock does it well in defence.
And well judged there by Anthony Bannock. His kick is close to the boundary line. It bounces just inside the boundary line and then goes over. So we'll have a boundary throw in about 75 metres around from the Eagles' goal. The Eagles lead 4-6 to 3-4. So it's an 8-point advantage for the West Coast. The ball at centre-half forward. Now a chance for Lambert. His hand pass finds Herman. Herman's little kick went past Campbell. Now Main Waring for the West Coast. Kicks it into the right forward pocket, kicks it too far, and that really is not a good kick. I mean, if he's clear like that, he should have made a bigger effort to hook the ball to the front of the goals.
Yeah, the centering kick was on there, not the percentage kick. Very tough kick had Hetty been able to take that mark anyway.
Free's kick has been marked by Main Waring. So very much a game of defences at the moment. There's been a total of 7 goals scored in almost 2 quarters of football.
Talking about Waitman, he's coming off the ground to be replaced by Nathan Bauer. So maybe he's not all that fit, Waitman.
I really am surprised it's taken that long, as Hetty marks from behind the pack and goals. Eyes, aren't they, Bernie?
Well, will it help if they can't see that? The umpire was right on the spot there for that push in the back against Bannock.
It's a pity that the Melbourne viewers had to experience a commercial break, because the replay of that showed Brett Hetty giving Tony Free a dead set push in the back to take the mark and kick the Eagles' 5th goal. And they lead now by 14 points, West Coast, 5-6 to 3-4. And it's really going to be a crucial 7 minutes for Richmond. Free has got the free kick against Sumich at centre-half back, so the Tigers will get out of trouble. Free kicks it straight across the ground. Bannock has come up from the back pocket. His kick goes out towards the wing, and the mark is taken down here in front of us by Lennon in front of Matera. Now Lennon trying to get the ball moving. Hogg is leading, but gee, there's really not much happening across the half-forward line for the Tigers. The kick to that position, picked off by Pike. Can't control the football. It comes out to Clappe. He's tackled, and the umpire will call for a bounce.
Looks like the Tigers may have made a change too. Brian Lee's up on that half-forward line.
About 65 metres from the Richmond goal, and for their efforts in this second quarter, they really haven't got the results on the scoreboard, the Tigers. They went in at 3 goals 4 at quarter time, so they haven't added to their quarter time score. Scott's kick. Oh, well done, Main Waring. No matter what you say about him, Johnny, he just keeps getting the footy, doesn't he?
Mate, I wouldn't say anything bad about him at all. That
Not
was
you, but just generally.
That was a courageous mark. He had to really commit his body, as now Hart uses pace to get away from his opponent and kicks the ball towards the boundary line. And race on there between Lees and Kemp. And Kemp very happy to see it go across the line. Yeah, Chris Mainwaring knocks up getting kicks. He's a most courageous player, pound for pound, as Hetty thumps it into the open. It's inside 50 metres. A chance here for Turley. Turley lays the hand pass off, but it's gone astray. Out comes the Richmond defence, led by Herman. Herman's kick to Knights. Esler providing the shepherd, which is good play. Knights is on left centre wing. A high kick. Brennan in front. Brings it to ground. Through comes Mitchell White. He's caught. Worsfold, a long hand pass towards the boundary line. Brennan again. This is Hart. Hart's kick. Oh, lovely mark, Turley. He had to slide to get to that, and he got it just forward of the wing.
5 minutes left in the second quarter. Craig Turley deep in the right half forward flank position, and his pass has been marked by McIntosh. And if Bannock is on McIntosh, he must be giving away many, many centimetres in height.
Bannock 180 and McIntosh 194. So there you go, 14 centimetres in height advantage to McIntosh.
Well, if that's a sign of what the Tigers are up against, it's going to be a battle royal for them this afternoon. McIntosh's kick, good for length, just offline and across the face and through for one behind to the West Coast. So they lead now 5-7 to 3-4. The advantage is 15 points. And Scott Turner preparing to kick the ball back into play for the Tigers. A little bit more rain falling here at Subiaco to make it just that little bit more difficult for the players.
Esler is the target, and he marks. Harding slipped at the crucial moment and couldn't control that, or couldn't contest that, as good defensive play sees the ball punched away from Craig Lambert. And okay. I wonder if that refers to Dwayne Lamb, who is unfortunately out injured.
I'll tell you what, we wouldn't mind booking in for that, would we, Johnny?
Oh, mate. Aspro and a glass of Coke, and I put on £6. Mitchell White juggles and marks. Ooh. Good play. Got a little bit clip behind the ear too from Jackson.
And Brennan.
And Brennan didn't like it, and I don't blame him.
It was unnecessary, that one from Stephen Jackson. You see this in replay, and you just see Jackson coming through and over the left ear. Very late there from Stephen Jackson.
Nothing much in it though.
Michael, it was unnecessary.
That'll set the bells ringing, and they've deemed that Mitchell White is not capable of taking the kick, so it'll be Peter Matera, and he goes in short, and Waterman gets it on the left wing.
I think you better go and tell Mitchell White that there was nothing much in it, Robbo. He's not too good.
You watch him play on.
Waterman's kick to half forward. Mark not taken. Through comes Herman. Opportunity for Scott. It's towards the boundary line, and Lambert can't keep it in play. And Mitchell White is okay. That was Craig Lambert, the man playing his 100th game of AFL/VFL footy today. Esler. Over the top went Sumich, but Richmond clear the ball up towards Maxfield. He's bumped out of the road. The hand pass came from Waterman. Finally, it's ended up with Mitchell White. Well played by Clappe to get it to him, and we'll see a throw in on the Eagles' right half forward flank.
They've been pretty untidy though, the Eagles, on many occasions. That hand pass again, making it pretty difficult for the West Coast Eagles player to get it out of defence.
Well as a little bit of moisture around, the blustery conditions have probably made it a little bit difficult too. The wind is certainly favouring the left-hand end, but it is quite blustery here at Subiaco this afternoon. West Coast 5-7, Richmond 3-4. 2.5 minutes left in the second quarter, and Esler doing reasonably well in the ruck contest. Hart gets his kick away up towards full forward. McIntosh and Bannock, well done by Anthony Bannock. Tony Free there to clear for Richmond. Kicks it wide to Scott. Scott's kick floats in that blustery breeze close to the boundary line in front of Jeff Hogg, and it's a boundary throw in just forward of centre wing in the West Coast forward half. So maybe they're a chance in this second quarter still to score, as we see. What does that tell you, Bernie? Marks West Coast 18 to Richmond 11.
Well, probably not a lot. Just the short passing, I think, has probably been a little bit better on many occasions by the West Coast Eagles. And Richmond yet to score in this second quarter, and they're having a lot of trouble getting the ball past the half forward line.
Well, it's midway between the Eagles' left centre wing and left half forward flank, and they lead 37 to 22. Paul Harding, striking his best form in recent weeks, has been a great player for the Eagles, Doesn't get the tap on that occasion, but it doesn't go very far. Out came the hand pass from Lambert. That was Knights. Knights is kicked towards half forward. Comes out to Mitchell White. White to Mainwaring. It's through his hands. Mainwaring goes off the ground into the path of Hart. Now, if Hart can gather, he can get further forward, but he's bumped cleverly off the ball. Now, McIntosh has got 3 to beat. He does it so well back to Mainwaring. Mainwaring a long kick. Sumich was free if he'd seen him, but didn't. Now, Brett Hetty throws himself on the ball. The hand pass comes out. Herman intercepts. Over the top went Turley. Scrambling defence that time from Richmond as the hand pass comes out to free from Scott, and Richmond once again break away with the ball.
They get to that position and then they just give it away a little bit too easily, the Tigers, and this kick by Tony Free is out on the full, and the free kick will be taken out there on centre wing by Pike. His kick goes in towards full forward, and a rather straightforward mark taken there by Peter Sumich. Well, this is what I feared about the Tigers. They were hanging on, and now in the dying minutes of the second quarter, Sumich a chance to kick his 3rd goal.
They cleverly switched play there, the West Coast Eagles. A little bit unpredictable. The Tigers expecting him to go back around that outer wing, and that kick coming in, finding Pike unattended at the centre of the ground, and he switched to play to Sumich.
Well, Sumich is point-blank range, directly in front. Really should not miss this. And right on the siren, he kicks his 3rd goal. So Peter Sumich 3 goals, Brett Hetty 2 goals in the first half of the match. The Tigers all singles, Bremen, Maxfield and Menegola. And at half-time, the West Coast lead by 21 points. West Coast 6-7-43. Richmond 3-4-22.
Operating by Christmas. I just can't see where the guy's getting his facts wrong. He didn't discuss it with us, I can tell you that.
Well, OK, there's another little piece in that article that we read in the Perth Press about the Traffic Accident Commission being the major sponsor of the Richmond Football Club. How will maybe the change in government, how will that affect the sponsorship of that organisation for Richmond?
We discussed that at length when there was some sort of possibility of that, but we are 1 year into a 3-year contract, and we have absolute assurance from the Transport Accident Commission that will stand in place regardless of what might occur. And even if it didn't, it doesn't necessarily bother us to that degree, because we're very confident we can market our way and get ourselves good sponsors and keep the club buoyant and alive, and we have no intention of merging.
And Richmond have got some great history, the Tigers, and let's hope that 1 or 2 wins on the board certainly would help a little bit, wouldn't it, Nev?
That's the key. Always is the key. On-field performance is what we're about, and we've just got to keep struggling to achieve that.
Well, good luck, and thanks for joining us here at Subiaco.